Good morning. This is the first of two videos that you guys will get, all of you if you want it, but mostly this is designed for the juniors. Since you're going to be going iced up tomorrow green and then Friday white and then I guess next Monday green, assuming we're still in hybrid. If not, then you still have the video. So I'm going to do this too. The first one I'm going to do is Piaget, and then the second one is going to be Kohlberg. So you are going to be on page 3. Same one we've been on with love. It looks like this. Okay, my notes. So I've made some of the notes here for you, and we're talking again about Piaget. He's talking about cognitive development, thought. Okay, I think you should be able to read this, hopefully. Okay, so without further ado, if you remember the first two, we had pre-op or sensory motor, little babies, and then pre-operational, which is 3 to 7 or 2 to 7, more or less. Here we move into the third stage, which is called concrete operations. Okay, typically this lasts from about 7 to 11 years old. So think first to fifth grade, roughly. So think before you start getting into junior high-ish, maybe a little before that. Okay, before puberty, though. So the thing here is that these kids, according to Piaget, can begin abstract thinking. So think they don't have to have something in front of them. Cup. You can say cup, you can say Yeti, and they can think, oh, Yeti is a brand of cup, but it is also a snowman. So think about things like that, where you can take, China. Is China the country? Is China what you eat on? Those kind of things is what a kid can do. So think about imagination. It becomes very strong here. Imagining, whether it's imaginary friends or you're pretending you're someone else or something like that. This is where this starts to blossom. Okay? Makes life a little more fun, frankly. They can understand conservation of matter. If you remember back to this, I'm not going to do it again, but when they can start to understand things like volume. I drew a little picture for you. But also estimating. If you remember, we talked about the kid throwing the ball. The little guy throws it as hard as he can, no matter how far or close he is to you. This, you start to gauge it. And when you think about just simple things like tossing to someone, and when you go underhand, overhand, and arcing, and all the things you don't even really think about, you just do it. Whether you're in a sport or whether you're just like, hey, hand me that... I don't know what you guys do at your house, but throw the remote over here or hand me that pillow or something like that. You have a sense about what to do, which helps you to estimate, measuring, think math problems, think if any of you ever build anything, kind of get an idea of how much space you need, all those things. That's really all that is. Okay. The next thing is they don't always like it, but they are able to see other people's viewpoints at this point. Okay. Points of view, by the way. So this is when they become a bit more interesting to talk to, as opposed to just, hi, how are you, little man? I'm good. So what are you doing? I'm playing. That's the little kid. This guy is more like, I'm playing. I'm playing soldiers, and we're in the war, and so on and so forth. So it allows for a bit more real interaction, where you can have some. You're not going to talk about physics and philosophy, but you've got more conversation going on here, I guess. Okay, so right there. And then finally, they are able to figure things out in their head. The example I would use in class, and here it is, you can do lots of things. If you put a lump of clay, think about Play-Doh or whatever you do, okay, they can, in their head, imagine, okay, I could make a clay pot out of this. I could make an animal out of this. I could make a statue out of this. So they take the lump of clay, and in their head, they can picture that being a pot. Now, they're usually not very good at turning it into a pot because they're 8 years old. But they get in there, and they'll do it, and it'll be, here's what I made. You remember, if you ever did pottery when you were a little kid, even in class for a project or something, it probably looked like crap. But your mom loved it, your dad loved it because, it's yours and all that stuff. But that's the beginning of figuring things out and imagining and again, creating things. Okay? So that's concrete operations. The last one, rather, the fourth one, and this is the final one that you, hopefully, are in, is called formal operations. And this is going to be from 11 years old, roughly, on. Okay, so here you got all this up here, plus understand what's called causality. Ringing a bell makes the sound. Starting a mower makes the engine go. I mean, all kinds of things. Causality. Think about hitting a pool ball. Cause and effect. Okay. Which allows you to use logic. What's the best way? Kind of this right here, steps to solve a problem. It's kind of the same thing, but what's the best way to get something done? When you think about putting a puzzle together, okay, a little kid is going to start trying to jam those pieces in and eventually figure it out, or not. You can sit there and be like, let's see, that's a round piece, so that fits in there, and that goes. You may not like it, you may not have patience for it, but you have the ability to do it. Okay? So think of cause and effect of not just physical things, but of mental things. If I yell at my mother, she'll have her feelings hurt. If I yell at my father, he'll spank me, whatever kind of thing. If I yell at my brother, I might get in trouble. Or I might get my way. I mean, all those things are understanding causality, okay, and logic. Okay, next can conceive of abstract ideas, and they begin to think about these things. This is the time when you start thinking about, I just chose 3 as an example, justice. When you think about things like racism and anti-Semitism and why do some people get the death penalty for the same crime that somebody else doesn't? Morality, what is right, what is wrong, is it good to steal, when is it good to steal? Things like that. Religion. What is this religion thing? Start thinking about the afterlife a little bit, God, heaven, hell, all those things come into the mind here, which you're not capable of handling here. Well, Grandma died. Where'd she go? She went to heaven. Oh, okay. Oh, what is heaven? Why is this? What if there's not a heaven? You start wondering these questions. These are the ones that sometimes keep people up at night, I suppose. Okay. They can deduce. Think about steps involved. It could be, it's not just as simple as you put your socks on before you put your shoes on, things like that, but steps to solve a problem. With the building stuff, think math. You guys get into higher math. There aren't many steps in addition, but there are steps in quadratics, and there are steps in trigonometry and things like that. That one goes through. Or whether it's quite simply putting something together from IKEA, from pictures or without pictures, or just figuring out. Some of you probably better, you can look at a motor, look at a machine, and kind of figure out what happens where. That's what this means. Okay. And then finally, they can apply learning to different situations. If you think about, think about the idea of throwing a ball. Okay, those of you that play any kind, you don't have to play a sport to throw a ball. You throw a ball. That's similar to throwing a football, to throwing a baseball, to serving a volleyball. What else? Think tennis and badminton and ping pong. They're all roughly the same motion. You just adapt them. Think swinging a baseball bat and swinging a golf club. With musical instruments, I'm not an expert on this, but if you can play the guitar, you can probably play the mandolin and the ukulele and the banjo. Or if you can play the trumpet, you can probably play what else is there? The cornet or the tuba. They're not the same, but it's using the same skill to apply to different situations. And learning, combine that with morality. When is it okay to tell somebody you don't like their hair, that you don't like the way they treated you, versus when is it not? Because you might offend somebody, or they might punch you in the face, or whatever. Things like driving different types of vehicles, driving different situations. If you remember back to driver's ed and when you first got your license, you've probably learned to handle different situations, different traffic rather, and so on and so forth. So that's what that means, and it allows you to become, theoretically more like an adult, and so on and so forth. So, That's about it. So next time, again, it'll be Kohlberg. So this is one for you guys to, this will be your notes. All right, bye.